Now it's the turn of our live outside broadcast cameras. And this evening, we've sent a mobile unit to Wolverhampton Wanderers, the Football League champions. And to find out what's happening at Wolverhampton tonight, we can see their training. David Coleman, please come in.
This is Molineux, the home of the famous Wolves, and these are the players who last season produced the most remarkable record in the history of English League football. The Wolves' first 4 teams all won their individual competitions, and the team won the FA Youth Cup. The only trophy the Wolves didn't win last season that was open to them was the FA Cup itself, and they were beaten by the eventual winners, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Well, now, what makes the Wolves such a remarkably successful club? What goes on behind the scenes? Of course, the most important spot behind the scenes is undoubtedly the boardroom, where the planning really begins. Now, you're quite familiar with the figure on my left, Stan Cullis, the manager, but a man you don't know, a man who operates essentially behind the scenes, is Mr. Jim Baker, the chairman. Well, thank you very much indeed, Mr. Baker, for allowing us to come along on the eve of this season. I'd like to start straight away by asking you something that's most controversial. At this time, managers are resigning right, left and centre in football. Managers are getting fired, but here you've got a recipe for success. What do you, as the chairman of the champions, see as the manager's duties?
The manager should be left to control the team. He should have sole charge of all the players and everything to do with that side of the club.
And what do you see as the director's duties?
The director should be responsible for the policy, the financial side, and all that sort of thing.
Do you believe directors should have any direct contact with players at all?
Oh, I don't think we should cut ourselves off entirely from the players, but I don't think we should interfere with anything the manager does.
Well, let's turn now to Mr. Cullis and go on to these fabulous Brazilians. I'm getting a little tired about hearing about the magic of the Brazilians. Do you think we've really taken anything out of the World Cup? Have you learned anything from the World Cup?
Well, I went over to see the World Cup, and there were 1 or 2 phases of the Brazilian game that were interesting to me.
Are you going to make use of them?
Yes, I shall do, yes. In our tactical scheme, I shall try and embrace 2 or 3 facets of their game that I saw.
Now, what are those facets?
Well, David, let's keep it a secret just for now, shall we?
Well, have you used anything in training then that's...
Yes, well, we have this season in our pre-season training done more ball work, I think, than ever we've done before. That's not to suggest that that's been solely due to watching the Brazilians, but I'm certainly convinced, as I always have been, that the basis for success with a football team is to give them as much of the ball as you possibly can.
Well, I know the boys are working out there, and Kenneth Wolstenholme's with them. Is he on your books or not?
No, I think he's a bit too young for us.
Well, he's still on our payroll, so let's join him out there then.
Billy, right. I think we deserve a breather after that, and any more of that now will be too young for the Wolves. But, Billy, they say that we don't train in England as much as, say, the Brazilians, but that's not true at Wolves, is it?
We train very hard here, Ken, believe me.
You're telling me.
Oh, this is just an easy game, this is, you know.
But what about the stamina training you do?
Well, that's at the start of the season. We have a place about 12 miles from here, Brockton, Milford Common, that we go over. But a circuit there, about 1¼ miles, and we go 4 times around that. And it's not just flat, it's uphill, down dales, and believe me, it takes the fittest to do it. And I think this is very good for stamina training.
How often do you train when the season's got underway?
We train here every day. Our big day is Tuesday. We train morning and afternoon then, and it's a pretty long session. But we build up, we do our first 3 days, we train Mondays here, which a lot of clubs I don't think do on a Monday. Tuesday the big day, Wednesday do a lot of kicking, and then we gradually ease off for the weekend.
So footballer's life isn't an easy one at Wolverhampton. You've got to work, haven't you?
Well, when our manager's concerned, we have to work, you know.
Now, you're a newly married man, Billy. Is that going to affect your football future at all, do you think?
I hope not. I want to play a few more years yet.
Well, we hope not too, Billy, and I'm going to pop in the gym to see what they're doing there and let you get back to your game. And back to David Coleman and Stan Cullis now.
So I was rather interested last season of the average age of your championship side was about 24, and yet 10 of the side was married. Do you like to see your players married?
Well, I wouldn't say that I particularly like or dislike the question of them getting married, but I do feel that when they are married, that like all people in any walk of life, they develop a sense of responsibility, probably It accentuates their sense of responsibility, and I feel that they're more settled in their approach to the game.
Mm-hmm. Now, coming back to training, of course you do a lot of the work indoors, don't you?
Yes, but we do quite a lot outdoors as well. But indoors, of course, we do our hard training, our weight training.
Well, let's drop into the gym now and see some of this pressure training.
Bill Slater, Alan, Gwyn Jones, Alan Jackson, Ron Howe, and all training with the weights. And with them, of course, is the trainer, Joe Gardner. And Joe, if I might just drag you away from this training a moment, what's the point of this weight training?
General physical fitness, kind of. We started at the beginning of last season, and has done our players a world of good, I think. Oh, I'm sure of that, in fact.
But doesn't weightlifting develop muscle arms? That's not very useful for football.
Yes, you may say that, but I say that they've got muscles in their arms, so then develop them to a certain extent. It helps with the body balance and the body control, and useful on the field in general, anyway.
Even the youngsters, can they cope with this rather strenuous amount of
Yes,
training?
we start them for the very youngest one. Does the weight training, not so much as the seniors, but he starts anywhere with his weight training as soon as he comes here.
Do you do any other work in the gym at all? Much work in the gym?
Oh, yes. We also use the old-fashioned method of weight training, which is the medicine ball, you know. The Indian clubs, it's a form of training with the weight, medicine ball, which we still use as well for certain exercises,
So certainly when a youngster comes to Wolverhampton, he's jolly well got to work.
Now, in recruiting young players, I know you expect them to work at the game. Accepting a football ability as being there, what do you look for in a youngster?
Well, after we've convinced ourselves that he has inherent skill, we also look at the background, because we feel that to come to the Wolves that he's got to have a certain standard of character.
Have you ever let a player go, a good player, because of his character?
Well, yes, I think we have. In the past, we've considered that probably certain players haven't measured up to the standard of behaviour and character that we want, and we've decided that he must go elsewhere.
Now, you've got the most complete scouting system possibly in the country. How many scouts have you got?
Well, I couldn't tell you really how many we've got, David. We've got certain scouts on our payroll, but apart from these, we've got contacts all over the country who recommend players to us primarily because they're interested in this club and they want to see this club do well.
How many boys do you sign per season?
Well, amateur players, I suppose we sign round about 60 or 70.
How many of those make the grade?
Well, if we can get one in about 50 who eventually come through our junior ranks and make the first team, we're well satisfied.
What do you do about a boy you've encouraged to become a professional who doesn't make it?
Well, when a boy joins us, say he joins us from school and comes onto our ground staff, apart from his training that he has, we enable him to have further education if he so desires. I mean, the FA have got a vocational training scheme, and there is this facility at the disposal of any boy who wants to further his education and even take up an apprenticeship.
Yeah, which of your senior players have taken advantage of this kind of further education?
Oh, there are several of our players who have equipped themselves for jobs. I mean, for instance, several of our players have got jobs, representative jobs, outside their football now.
Yes, well, let's follow that on in a second, because let's have a look now at one of the most modern rooms in the Wolves, probably in British football today, and that's the physiotherapy room.
Most important room probably in the club. Mr. Palmer, the physiotherapist, I know is working on Eddie Stewart, trying to get him fit for Saturday. But Mr. Palmer, what's this wonderful looking gadget you've got?
Well, this is the ultrasound machine. It's one of the more recent forms of physical therapy, and it's involved new principles. We have the ultrasonic high-frequency generator here. This is the treatment head.
And that gets right down to the seat of the trouble, does it?
Yes, this is highly beamed and localized. One can get straight onto the injured spot.
Hey, is it a thing anybody can use, or is it highly dangerous if you don't know how to use it?
Oh, there's some danger. I could just show you there's something happening to this.
Now, of course, this is a bit hot, and this is water that Mr. Palmer's putting on it, and the current's turned on. Hey, presto, something should happen. I'm not quite sure what. Well, that just shows you how hot it is. Well, Eddie, how are you doing with this muscle of yours, by the way?
Well, Kenneth, it's not a serious injury. I had a slight knock during the training session, and I should be fully fit for Saturday.
This is the place where a lot of you players, you might be off for long spells off the physiotherapy room.
Oh, yes. I'm quite sure we can't do without these gadgets, which we've got at our disposal.
Especially not probably the most modern in the country, but probably this is the reason why Wolves are the Football League champions. But what of the future? To find out, let's go back to the boardroom.
Stan, why are the Wolves so successful in recruiting young players against great competition at a time when people are talking about undercounted payments and so on? Why do you always get these young boys?
Because, David, basically I think that the great reputation we enjoy, and we have enjoyed this reputation for a good many years, of the way we look after our youngsters, our concern for their welfare apart from their football.
What can you legally do for them within the Football League rules?
Well, when they come here, of course, we can, they join our ground staff usually when they leave school, and then also we can put them in for further education, apprenticeships, and whatever inclination they may have to develop themselves for later on, for when they have to finish their football.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's move on to the future now and the development of the Wolves, and on to Mr. Baker, the chairman now. This is a model of the new ground, isn't it, Mr. Baker?
Yes.
What's the present capacity here at Molineux?
Roughly 55,000.
And what will the model, what will the new ground hold then?
Just over 75,000.
Now, what are the outstanding new features of this ground?
Well, it's very modern, as you can see from the model. It's all cantilever roof, so that there's no posts in front of any of our spectators.
Are you aiming at attracting any particular section of the public?
Yes, we aim to attract the family by making them more comfortable and giving them better protection from the weather.
I hope, by the way, you've included it. Where's the television room on this?
No, we haven't, but we will make provision for the television room, and you may be interested to know, in connection with that, that we've taken the decision tonight that may have some effect on the future of football. We intend to apply in the near future for permission to play a match on Saturday night. And if it comes off, we're hoping we should get it televised.
Well, that'll give Peter Dimmock in London something to think about. Well, now, thank you very much for allowing us to come along, Mr. Baker. You're England's representative in the European Cup this year. The best of luck. And I wonder if that championship shield there will find a resting place here at the end of next season.
Well, there'll be a devil of a row if it doesn't.
Well, indeed, that is news, and I wonder what the Football League are thinking about it. Perhaps Mr. Hardacre was watching tonight.